So, over the past couple of years, I've been quite into French knives after discovering knivesofrance.com. He's become kind of a big supporter of my channel. I do have a coupon code over on his website, Bakery Wizard, all lowercase. If you're looking to get a French knife, go over there and check out, see what he's got. He's got carbon steel and stainless steel knives, all sorts of varieties, price ranges, um, and stuff. So, go over and check out his website. Like I said, use my coupon code Bakery Wizard. I think it's 10% off a purchase of $50 or more. It's either 10 or 5. I don't remember. But anyway, use that. Get yourself a French knife. There are some really cool ones. This one, I like it. It's not exactly what I expected, but I like it. It's the four-bladed barrel knife. It does have some blade fitment issues, and I think they should have made it a three blade barrel knife, but I'll get into that here in a little bit. The barrel knife, I have a single blade variant with, I think they're walnut handles, and I quite like it. Um, and ever since I've seen this four blade barrel knife in stock, it's quite a bit more pricey, of course, because there's four blades instead of just one. Um, it's more expensive, but I was like, man, I kind of want that because it's, kind of the French version of a camp knife. I'm sure they actually make camp knives, but this is almost kind of like a camp knife or like a hiking knife, or I'm planning on taking it on bike rides with me because it has one tool that does occasionally come in handy when you're riding the rail trails and stuff. And I'll get into that. But anyway, barrel knife. Get that toothpick out of here. Barrel knife. This has white rowoid ro rowoid handles, something like that. It's a name for plastic, it seems, or some sort of synthetic. I believe it's some sort of plastic. I thought in the pictures that this was going to be like ridged or like ribbed for her pleasure. Um, it's just smooth, and these white lines are just like a design in it, which I mean is neat. At least it's not just plain white, so that's kind of cool. Your barrel knife's kind of roundish, feels good in your hand, but I think that's why it's called a barrel knife, is because it's kind of roundish. You can see the handles are very rounded, so it feels really good in your hand when you're holding it, especially the single blade variant. Easier, it's pinned together using, I think they're steel pins, I would guess. Could be nickel silver. Steel liner, steel back springs, steel bolsters. I believe all carbon steel. You can see the blades here, showing off some of the blade fitment, which isn't great. Mainly just between this main blade and this tiny blade that I don't need, which is again why I would say I think that Les Sabot should have made it a three blade barrel knife. I think it would be better with three blades because I don't need this little Warncliffe blade here. But speaking about the blades, let's get into it. It does have a main sheath foot blade that you can pinch open, which is nice on a knife with more than one blade. It's always nice when you can pinch blades open. Decent action. Its action on close is not good, but with a French knife, that's kind of almost a bonus because you don't want to slam the blade shut anyway, because it will hit the back spring. But anyway, so it doesn't close all the way, but you can pinch it open. The action on open is really good. You can see here it's got the blade stamp Les Sabot France. It's got the little shoe there. This is carbon steel XC75. I believe that's similar to 1075 carbon steel. Satin finish blades. Um, but yeah, it really rubs against this little Warncliffe blade here, and it's really hard to get this Warncliffe blade open because it's rubbing real good. The Warncliffe blade doesn't quite snap open as much. And then occasionally after you open it, the sheep's foot blade here will fall over into that blade well, making it a little bit. It does seem to just kind of push it out of the way, but that's not great when it falls into this the path of the other blade, like the tip here. You can maybe see that. Like it should be over here, out of the way, and it's like down in there. When you close this, it'll kind of catch a little bit, and it does push it out of the way, but not ideal. And then this blade, you have to really like push down. So that's a little disappointing. I think it's a design issue. I think they should have just done three blades because, again, I don't need this little Warncliffe for anything. Got a giant sheep's foot blade. What do I need the tiny little Warncliffe for? I don't know. Um, and another thing that I will point out, not that I care about, but some of you will, is there's a pretty substantial gap here. No blade play, but some dirt and stuff could get in there. And some people would argue that that means this knife is made horribly. I don't think it's made horribly. I just think it's made by Frenchmen by hand or, close to that. And these things happen. Um, it does almost look like they've messed up which side the blades go on because, like, this side of the back spring, like the back spring on this side is much bigger than the back spring on this side. I don't know why that is, but it almost seems to me like they put the main blades in the wrong end of the knife. Don't know if that's something they possibly did. That would be pretty wild if it is. But it almost looks like that. But anyway, so main blade's cool. It does interfere with this Warncliffe here that I'll never use. Um, but yeah, so, some blade rub and fitment issues there. The other two blades seem to be fit just fine. And this is the reason I wanted the knife right here, is it comes with a saw blade. You might be saying, why do I want this tiny little saw blade? Occasionally, if you're riding on the rail trails, which I'd like to do, it's where I like to go for my bike rides because there's no crazed maniacs in gigantic pickup trucks that they don't need, um, riding with their mirrors 3 inches away from your face because they didn't see you, like what happens when you ride on the road. Um, of course, that is a example that's happened to me a couple of times in my life. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think there's a certain amount of people that actually actively try to hit people on bicycles. Of course, I don't think that's the majority of people, even people driving gigantic trucks. Although I have noticed that people who drive Ram pickup trucks all seem to be horrible people, or just impatient people, or just needing to prove that they're better than you people. I'm not really sure. It's like a weird study on people that drive Ram pickup trucks. I don't know. It's weird. Um, but it seems like they're always the ones that are like acting ridiculous with their trucks, the Ram owners. I drive a little car, so a little Toyota. It's green. It's bright green. It's like a yellowish green. It's a cute little car. But anyway, um, so I like to ride on the rail trails. So I don't almost get run over, and don't have to worry about traffic in general. Don't have to worry about people not paying attention. All those kinds of things. So I like to ride on the rail trails when I can. And the one thing that'll happen occasionally is after a storm or something, there'll be some tree limbs down across the rail trail. And in at least one instance, I've thought, man, I wish I had my little Victorinox hiker or something similar, with a tiny little saw that I could cut up some of these, more medium sized tree branches and get them off of the rail trail for myself and everybody else. Because most of the time it's just, a tree branch and you cut off a few like pieces of it and you'd be able to pick it up and move it off the trail. So a tiny little folding saw like this would be good for that, I figure. So I'm thinking I may take this bike riding with me most of the time. we'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, excited to have a saw and a knife that I will actually probably carry, unlike the Victorinox Hiker, which I haven't carried at all because I don't know. Um, and then you have a, I'm not really sure what I want to call this. See, I want to call this a punch, but then I think Charlie Campani is going to reach through the screen and slap me, because it's not like an American punch, or an American punch like is for cutting holes, whereas this is just gonna poke a hole in something. So I don't know if you want to call this a punch or a reamer or a awl, 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 or even like almost like a marlin spike, maybe like something used for untying knots and stuff. Not really sure, but you could certainly poke holes in leather with this. You wouldn't be able to cut your holes like you can with an American punch. Maybe you could punch some holes in leather. I could certainly punch a new hole in my belt with this, I think. And I could certainly, punch a hole through leather to like sew some leather back together with it as well. So maybe it's like an awl. I'm not really sure. You could also untie a knot with it. So I'm not really sure what the use of this tool is. Might be to untie knots like a marlin spike is. Might be to poke holes in things. I don't know. It'll work for either one of those. None of these blades have any blade play either, which is cool. Really, the only issue with this knife is that weird little fitment issue between the two cutting blades. And I only need one of those. So, like I said, once again, I kind of wish that Les Sabot would have just stayed with it being a three blade barrel knife. But that's fine because, like I said, I probably won't hardly ever open that. So I'm not really all that worried about it. But yeah, knife feels pretty good in hand with the main blade open, because nothing's sticking out that much. This bit here, you can definitely feel poking your finger if you were going to be, I don't know, whittling a whole lot. I don't think this is the knife you'd really want because this would start to bother your finger probably. Um, Now with that blade closed and the saw blade out, that's a fair sight more uncomfortable. But with this being the saw blade, I don't know if you're really going to be holding it like this. Probably more like this anyway, probably. Um, so um, but that's with any multi-blade knife like this. I mean, you're gonna have a level of discomfort when using it, but you have more options, which is nice. Um, so yeah, overall, it's a neat knife, I will say. Um, I think for most people, I'd recommend just getting this single blade barrel knife. I should have grabbed mine. It's in my little travel thing, like 10 feet that direction. I should have grabbed it. Um, but you guys have probably seen it before. I carry it quite a bit. But I think for most people, I'd recommend the single bladed barrel knife over this, because it doesn't have this mess of blades going on. And it's more comfortable for most people and everything. And unless you're somebody like me who sees something like this and goes, "Oh, I need that folding saw blade right there," I don't think I'd necessarily suggest this. Or maybe just buy a folding saw. That might be the solution. But I'm all about trying to support knivesofrance.com because I like I like Stefan, and I like the fact that he's bringing something different to the American market. He's a really good way to get your hands on some French knives that otherwise I'm not sure if we would have been able to ever get our hands on. He's got a bunch of different stuff over there. I've got quite a few of them, and I really like the barrel knife, the single blade one especially. I think it's a good knife. One of the excuse me, one of the best knives I think he has available as far as like a hard working man's knife. Um, but yeah, overall, this will certainly work for what I wanted it for. Although the blade fitment is a little bit of a mess, but pretty happy with it overall. Y'all can make a bunch of jokes about the white Rohoid being synonymous with the white flag because French, ha ha ha, and everything, just completely ignoring the hundreds of years of military victories that France had and the fact that they helped us out during the Revolutionary War. But that all that besides the point. I like the knife. I probably will carry it. Once again, planning on taking it on bike rides because, in my opinion, having this little folding saw blade for cutting up tree limbs would be useful for clearing off the rail trails. Um, but anyway, I'm going to stop talking about random stuff. And that's the Les Sabot barrel, four bladed barrel knife in white rohoid or rooid or however that's pronounced. It's plastic. It's white plastic handles, white fancy plastic. Similar to like Delrin, probably, maybe a little stronger. I'm not really sure what rohoid is or rohoid is. Um, he does have a blog. I should read his blog. I haven't really checked out his blog very much. I should go over there and check out Knives of France's blog. Maybe he would explain what rohoid is. But I do have another knife with black rohoid handles, and I mean, for the most part, I mean, I think they're pretty good handles. Like I said, probably similar to like a Delrin or something. So they're probably fairly strong and, you know, hopefully won't crack and stuff. They could still crack. Delrin does sometimes crack, but it typically, like synthetic handle materials, don't shrink and expand like bone and wood can, which is one benefit of synthetic handles. The other benefit is they're usually a little stronger than bone and stuff. You know, if you like drop it weird, it won't immediately knock off a chip, usually. But anyway, that's going to be it for the video on the Les Avaux four bladed barrel knife. A knife which is giving me complicated feelings, um, but I probably will enjoy like I do with most knives. But anyway, it's going to be it for this video. I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope you have a good day.